Welcome back, everybody. If you're new, my name's Nicholas, and this is Investing Against the Grain. What a, let's just say, interesting day we just had. Let's just jump right into my Webull account, and let's just look at a few stocks before we get into the main content today, which I'll tell you right now, it's about the capitulation of Joe Biden and his administration. But before we do that, let's take a look at Webull real quick. So here we're in Webull. Let's start off with talking about Meta or Facebook. So this is really what sent the market just into a tailspin today. So this is an hourly chart, as you can tell, and you can see yesterday after earnings, they report, or after the bell closed, they had earnings, and earnings did not meet expectations. Hence this huge red candle, right? Essentially down 25% in post-market. Now, normally post-market, pre-market, it's kind of just what I would consider trash type trading because it's very low volume. It's not a good representation of what to expect the next day. However, the one time I would say that is not true is after an earnings report, and especially with one the way Facebook had. And so you can see Facebook just tanked, and it didn't stop, right? It continued throughout the day today. Now, this had, ripple effects across the entire market. And so we saw other companies also sell off. Ironically, though, Tesla is the only one that seemed to have some strength today. So let's take a look at Tesla. So this was an hourly chart of Tesla. So yesterday, on the back of this news from Facebook, Tesla in post-market and pre-market was also down, right? So it went down to about $878 a share at its low point, roughly. And so here you could see this is the post and pre-market, and then it opened up with this huge green candle. Right, so that was a very bullish thing, and then it kind of traded sideways to end up closing down for the day. But the point is that it was essentially stronger than what the market was. Now, who really cares? If all we care about is long-term investing and just ignoring this stuff, why does it matter? Well, I'll tell you why it matters. What we have learned now, and Amazon just reported their earnings, and they had decent earnings, decent enough where Wall Street likes it. You can dissect it and you can pick out some things that really show it's actually weaker than what you would expect. But what we're learning now is that we are officially out of this, decade-long ETF, S&P 500 type investment framework, right? The paradigm has shifted. We are officially in what I would call a stock picker's stock market. That's a tongue twister. But that's where we are now. So if you look at it, Facebook tanks, Microsoft soars, Apple soars, Ford just announced they are tanking. Tesla, right? Well, Tesla is just an anomaly, right? Tesla had amazing earnings, but it was just Elon being Elon, and people don't like Elon being Elon, and so it tanked. And then 2 days later, it recovers everything that it lost. So it's official. We are in a stock picker's market, and it's all about finding companies that are proving themselves with earnings, with staying power, having efficiency within their books, having good margins. And that is what Tesla is. Put you this way, Tesla in Q4 had a higher net income than GM did, right? Tesla had about, $2.3 billion in net income, whereas GM had about 1.7, 1.8, I believe. This just goes to show you that Tesla is a solid company because Tesla did a fraction of what GM did as far as sales, and Tesla is growing quickly. I'll put it to you another way. Spotify, another company that just essentially tanked after their earnings, a company that is literally just essentially purely a software company, has lower margins, about 26% margins, compared to Tesla, where they're at 30%, and where Apple is at 35%. So, and Tesla's a car company, right? Or that's how they're viewed as an automotive company, right? They have this huge piece of hardware that they have to produce, and Tesla's still getting these incredible margins. So, we are officially in a stock picker's market, and for anybody who is trying to, I don't want to say gamble, but anyone who's trying to bet or invest into companies that don't have good profitability, that have a lot of debt, that are in a, essentially a startup phase, I would caution you. And none of this investment advice, this is just an engineer who lives in the software world currently. I'm telling you, a lot of these companies are going to have headwinds and struggles ahead, especially with interest rates going up, especially with inflation. So just a word of caution. But with that said, let's get into the main content of today's video, and let's talk about the capitulation of Joe Biden's administration. So for those of you who don't know, Joe Biden has had a few conferences now, a few meetups with, call it CEOs of industry, whether it's just auto industry or just greater, the corporate world in general. And he has invited companies like GM and Ford, and he's invited their CEOs to the table to talk about things like EVs and how we can grow our EV production within the United States, how we can accelerate the transition to sustainable energy. Now, there was the initial meeting where it was Ford, GM, and the UAW, United Auto Workers Union. And in that meeting, it was very apparent that there was no invite of Tesla. Now, at first, yes, it was a very clear snub of Tesla and Elon Musk. But you could make the argument that Tesla is not a union employer, right? They don't have union employees that work at Tesla. And that's by choice, right? Of course, it's by choice. Tesla employees make more money, have better benefits, get stock options, which alone makes them, makes their salary higher. So it's apples and oranges, right? I mean, if Tesla employees were to unionize, they would actually lose money and lose benefits. So it would make no sense. And to me, the bigger question is, why does GM and Ford have to unionize, right? Obviously, GM and Ford aren't offering good enough benefits to a point where their employees feel they have to unionize. But that's a whole different conversation. So we had that initial meeting. Oh man, what was that? A few months ago now, right? So that initial meeting happened, and you could chalk that off to, okay, Tesla doesn't use the UAW, so maybe that's why Joe Biden and his administration didn't invite Tesla. Okay, fair enough. But then recently we had yet another meeting where it wasn't just the automotive industry and just CEOs and just the UAW representatives there. Instead, it was essentially CEOs of all kinds of companies, right? Like Apple and IBM and, all these other CEOs from different companies to meet at a round table to talk about inflation and how we can do things with the semiconductor issues that we have here in the States, and right, just a collective roundtable of some of the more brilliant minds or supposed brilliant minds of these top companies. And of course, once again, Tesla, Elon Musk, none of them were invited. And so now, with that said, it starts to become very obvious that Joe Biden is clearly snubbing Elon Musk and Tesla. Now, there's many other things I could bring up to talk about, but this is just the most notable, obvious, snub of Tesla and Elon Musk. And so a few times on CNBC, on Bloomberg, people were interviewed and asked, why no Tesla? Why no Elon Musk? And, there was this one Twitter clip of Joe Biden and Mary Barra where Joe Biden is praising Ford and GM for, accelerating EV productions in the States and all that good stuff. And Elon Musk decided to comment on that. And he tweeted the following: starts with a T, ends with an A, ESL in the middle. You guys all know about this probably by now, right? It's no surprise. Well, this was essentially Elon saying, hey, why can't you acknowledge us as a company? You realize that we are a company that makes all of their U.S. vehicles or all the vehicles sold in the U.S., we make them here in the U.S. We're the most vertically integrated company probably in all of the United States at this point, right? We have the best technology. We're the leaders in EV in the world, and we're doing more than that with energy and everything. Like, you would think that the Democratic Party would be aligned with this mission, right? It's everything that the Democratic Party could possibly want, and it's one of our own. And even bigger than that, it's a story of an amazing immigrant success story, right? An immigrant came to the United States, and he has done all of this. So you would think this is the most beautiful playbook for any politician of the Democratic Party. But no, that's not the case, right? Instead, there's this battle that Joe Biden seems to, or this just issue that Joe Biden seems to have with Elon Musk. And so what started to happen? Well, Obviously, this started to grow and fester, especially within the Tesla community. The Tesla community is a very powerful community. Again, I'm probably telling you things you already know. So what happened was somebody decided to spend some money on a billboard in Times Square. Okay, so this billboard decided to take that tweet from Elon Musk and post it up. And so here you can see, starts with a T, ends with an A, ESL in the middle, Tesla, right? And this is in the middle of Times Square. And on the other side of this, right, 90 degrees to it, it says, just say it. Just say the word to Joe. This is obviously directed at Joe Biden. And so before this billboard was even posted or paid for or anything, right, there's been a petition going around now. And it's a petition on change.org, and I'll leave a link to it down below in the description, so feel free to go on there and sign it. But essentially, the premise behind the petition, as you can see here, says, President Biden, please acknowledge Tesla's EV leadership, right? The idea is to dispel this myth that Mary Barra is leading in any way, shape, or form, right? GM sold 27 electric vehicles in Q4. Tesla just sold 308,000 vehicles, right? Tesla is leading by far, right? They're the ones that have upended the entire internal combustion engine industry, and everybody's moving to electric vehicles. This is all because of Tesla. There's no question about it. There's no debate about it. Yet Joe Biden seems to be unwilling to acknowledge this because Tesla is not a union supporter, or not a union supporter as much as they just give their employees good benefits and take care of their employees. So these employees choose not to unionize. Don't forget, for the majority of Tesla's life, they've been living in California, right? A extremely democratic state, and they've chosen not to unionize. This tells you something. This tells you they're being treated right, that they appreciate the way they're being treated, that they're getting paid well, that they have good benefits. Otherwise, they would unionize, just like all the other automakers have. So if you look at this petition right now, and it's probably a lot higher by the time you're watching this video, but now it's up to 50,000 signed, with the goal now set to 75,000, right? If it hits 75,000, which I guarantee you it will, this will be one of the top signed change.org petitions out there. Now, this leads me on to my next point. This morning, as I talk about this frequently, I wake up and it's kind of a religious activity for me. I wake up, I make my coffee, I sit down, I turn on CNBC, and I just see what's going on. And this morning, I saw one of Joe Biden's, I forget her name, Secretary something, right? And she acknowledged Tesla. She acknowledged that Tesla has been doing a good job when it comes to semiconductors. And she even said that she has no qualms with Tesla or Elon Musk, and that she's willing to talk and take advice from anybody who can help, that they just need to get the job done. Now, this was specifically to talk about semiconductors, not about EVs or anything. But what was interesting about this is that this is the second thing that we're now seeing out of the Biden administration, their camp, right? Several people of the cabinet and the camp of the Biden administration have come out to say and ask to not be acknowledged and to remain anonymous, saying that it's sad that Biden has taken this stance because they are huge Tesla fans and they drive Teslas. In fact, if you look at Capitol Hill, you see a bunch of Teslas parked outside every single day. So, and don't tell me that you think that these are all Republicans driving these electric vehicles out there, right? It's not like a crazy thing to understand that, for the majority of what we have seen over the last 10, 15 years, the people who gravitate towards electric vehicles, the people who are towards the sustainable energy movement, tend to be people of the Democratic Party. And yet, Joe Biden is somehow snubbing all of what the Democratic Party is supposed to be with regards to this. It makes no sense. But what we see here is a beginning of a capitulation of President Biden and his administration. Now, here's the thing. I think Joe Biden is under the impression that if a few people of his cabinet, if a few people of his, just call it outer circle, start to acknowledge that Tesla is a company. They do EVs. Yeah, they do good work. We have nothing against them. They do good stuff, all this yada, 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 right? I think Biden thinks that will allow people to back off on this narrative in this story. But listen, it won't happen. I guarantee you it won't happen because I know the Tesla community. I know all of you. And until Joe Biden acknowledges, one, that Tesla is the leader of EVs, not just in the United States, but in the world. Two, that Tesla is a treasure, a company that this administration should be leaning on, that this administration should be supporting, right? It just makes no sense. If Joe Biden would stop picking losers, much like our stock market, right? I told you it's a stock picker's market now, right? You can choose Facebook or you can choose Microsoft. You could choose Ford or you can choose Apple. You could choose Tesla or you can choose GM, all right? Biden has the same choice. You can choose Ford and GM or you can choose Tesla. You can choose the winners or you can choose the losers. That's where we're at now. And it's up to Biden. If he wants any chance of turning his administration around, that's what he's going to have to do. And the sad thing is, I don't think he understands this. Whoever during the upcoming campaigns that we're going to see, right? The midterm elections are coming up. The people who stand behind Elon Musk, SpaceX, the movement to EVs, the acknowledgement of what's going on, the people who don't try to be too far right or too far left, those are going to be the people who get into office. Mark my words, we are moving into this period of more moderate thinking. All right, you can think whatever you want about people like Joe Rogan or Elon Musk or Jordan Peterson, but one thing that they all do have in common is that they try to think logically and rational, right? Jordan Peterson is definitely more right than someone like Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan is a Bernie Sanders supporter. And Elon Musk is, well, he's Elon Musk. He's just himself, right? But the difference between all these three people who are friends and hang out together, and we're seeing recently, look at the Cybertruck, is that they try to think logically and critically without an inherent bias, without a political agenda, without a narrative towards something else, right? With Biden, it's very clear UAW helped get him elected. To quote him, UAW put him in office. These people don't have that agenda. And the people who get back to normal, rational thinking, the people who decide to be grounded in what they're saying and stop trying to lie to all of us about what we can clearly see, those are going to be the people who get elected, right? I think we're just in a paradigm shift where we've gone far left, we've gone far right, and now people are just grasping for some normalization, for some logic, for people to stop lying to us. All right, I mean, just look at CNN at this point, right? They have people getting fired and let go left and right, people quitting intentionally. We hear about all this misinformation about things, yet with regards to the virus, which I don't want to talk about too much because I don't want to get demonetized or anything of that nature, but the truth is a lot of the stuff what we've heard that was misinformation has turned out to be truth. And a lot of stuff we were told turned out to be misinformation. So we are in this point where we want people to stop lying to us when we can see the truth. All right? And I think that's the bigger message of this petition. The bigger mission of this petition is to start acknowledging what we know to be true and start acknowledging this treasure of a company that we have in the United States. We need to be proud of what we have here. We have arguably the most advanced technological company, the company that's moving the fastest, the company that's doing the most good in the world right now, and we are choosing as a country not to accept them. And I know many of you, myself included, we are accepting it and we do acknowledge it. But the truth is, Joe Biden is our president. He is our leader. And therefore, he is our representative. Okay, whether you like him or not, he's our president. And if our president isn't sitting there and praising our most iconic company at this point, then what are we doing? It is literally the last main staple, the last real innovating company that we have. Apple's not innovating. Facebook, I don't know what they're doing with the metaverse right now. It seems like it's just a marketing campaign to turn things to the left, to distract from their slowing user growth. right? I mean, it's just crazy. What's Google doing? I don't really know if they're doing anything. Microsoft's not doing anything. Snapchat, like all these social media companies, they're not doing anything. We're not producing semiconductors here, right? Our companies, GM and Ford, they're in mountains of debt. They're trying to transition without having the Osborne effect. And even then, like, you know, they're not executing. They're putting all this money into battery technology and innovation, yet they're producing nothing, right? So Tesla's the only company that we're seeing do something. The only other company you could say that, you know, is even remotely, you know, in line with innovating the way Tesla is SpaceX. And guess where the commonality between those two are, right? SpaceX is a company, not a country, a company, an entity, a private company that is leading the world, leading nations when it comes to space technology, rocket technology, landing second stages. We have something happening soon here with the Falcon, right? I mean, it's insane. They just sent the first ever all civilian crew up into real space, right? Not what we saw Jeff Bezos or Richard Branson, where they went into, you know, essentially the very edge of space. Right? They actually went into space. They stayed up there for a few days and they came back down, all civilian crew. And even then, Joe Biden could not acknowledge it or say congratulations. This is pathetic. All right? We need change. And all Joe Biden has to do is get out of his own way, get out of this, you know, cut these strings that he has from whoever's pulling them on him. Okay? You know, again, to quote Elon Musk, he's a sock puppet right now. Right? And I don't know who's pulling the strings on this puppet, but he needs to cut him off. The best thing he can do for his administration right now is to support the innovation and the leaders and the people who are actually doing real things in this country. And that has to happen sooner than later. Now, for any of you who think that that this video is a political video that's bashing Democrats and supporting Republicans, you're wrong. You're 100% wrong. This has absolutely nothing to do with left or right or politics. This has to do with one individual, an individual that I have met. I've spent time with Joe Biden personally in Virginia, right? We spent a couple hours together, actually. So I know him, right? And he's a nice guy. He really is in the time we spent together. But this has nothing to do with politics. Nothing. This is an individual who is making bad decisions. If it was Trump, I'd be saying the same thing. If it was Barack, I would be saying the same thing. If it was Bush, Clinton, whoever in the future, I would be saying the same thing. Put it to you this way. This is what's crazy. Trump, the crazy president we had, the guy who would say the dumbest things in the world, he acknowledged that Elon Musk was one of our greatest leaders, one of our greatest minds out there. That's how crazy it is that Joe Biden is not. Even Trump got that one right. Think about that. I've been going for a little bit here. This isn't the video I wanted to make initially, but I thought this was an important video to get out there. Please, if you haven't, forget about hitting the like button or subscribing or anything. Sign the petition. It's in the description down below. I think this is a bigger movement. I think there's a bigger message happening here. And it's simply about acknowledging the best of our country. Acknowledging the beacon of light that we do have within this country to the rest of the world. There's not a lot of things that people look at the United States and think positively about our country anymore. Okay, for those of you who have spent time outside of the country, you know this. All right, there's a lot of things that people look down on our country for. One thing that they don't is Tesla. People see Tesla, people see Elon Musk as a positive light, as a sign of hope. Okay, they see this company and this individual as somebody who is above the fray, above the BS, above the politics, and just has a greater mission for humanity. And a message and a goal and a movement like that is something that brings everybody together. Whether you're white, black, Asian, Hispanic, it doesn't matter. Okay, whether you're in China, in Australia, in Europe, in Africa, in the United States, South America, it doesn't matter. Right? It unites everybody. It's this commonality of humanity in the greater good. And that's what this is about. This petition is much bigger than just getting him to acknowledge one company. Okay, so please do me a favor, sign the petition. I think every signature matters. It takes 2 seconds, takes no time. All right, we're gonna leave it there for today. Again, don't worry about liking anything or subscribing or anything. Just sign the petition. Thank you all for watching, especially if you stuck to the end. I love you all. Peace.